gotten real cold in the last few days, enough so where it makes sense to start focusing on some indoor projects. And doing the homesteading and growing, the whole notion of spring cleaning doesn't work out. By the time spring rolls around, we're too busy. So it's a winter cleaning. And I wanted to focus in this video on some really inexpensive and very functional, sturdy shelving that I've been using down in the basement. So let me explain what we're doing. Anyone who watches this channel somewhat regularly knows that I'm a huge fan of pallets. And so in this video you'll see I go quite a bit crazy with them. I wanted to replace, there was some shelving right in this area, and I actually made a video a couple years ago about our root cellar, which I'll make an update video on very shortly. And in that video there's a quick shot that shows the initial setup for shelving in this area, which was milk crates and sheets of old plywood that someone was getting rid of, that I cut down. And it worked okay, but it bowed and certainly was not very sturdy. We had a lot of glass jars on there, very threatening to break. So I decided I was going to go down to the local box store and look at their shelving options. And in the past I bought metal shelving from one box store that was $70 after taxes, made in China. It works, it's fine. Came in a box with styrofoam and plastic and all the things, new. And then when I went to look at the shelving, before I went in, I noticed a huge pile of pallets off to the side. So I put those in my truck instead and came back. And I went through with an electric chainsaw and I trimmed off the little excess tabs on them and then trimmed them up in a simple way to mount them in this fashion, which you can see here. And the first iteration, which I did a few years ago, and these have been here for a while, these are pallets I cut in half. Now you could do this with a hand saw, a circular saw, chainsaw, whatever you feel comfortable with. A handsaw certainly would be the least expensive and quite safe. And at the time I thought they needed the fullness of the pallet in order to be sturdy. And these are fine enough, but this is lost room in here. And so with this iteration, I went through and actually trimmed that out. It has this faintest bit of a bow, but nothing too bad. This one in particular, because I took out the middle support, so it's sitting on 1/2-inch stock. These happen to be hardwood, so they're very sturdy. And then you can see from underneath where I've trimmed it out but left a little bit more headroom. And with each layer of these shelves, here's the beauty of it, is they are custom built based on what we're trying to store. So here are these jars of beautiful dried herbs that Sasha's put up in glass jars that we got from a recycling bin at a local sub shop. And so each layer I put those bottles and then made a little bit of headspace so that there's easy wiggle room. In fact, in these we used milk crates. They're a little bit taller, and so this way we can put in milk crates or these glass bottles. And the uprights for these are scrap wood offcuts I paid a couple dollars for. And in this case they go right up to the joists in the basement. Nothing fancy, just screwed right in. And that gives it some real structural integrity. And these two sets of pallet shelves share a common central line here. The real expense in this is high quality screws. I use PGP star drive screws with the idea that in a few years, if we needed to, we could take this all apart and either turn into firewood, rebuild it elsewhere, use it to make biochar, and reuse the screws over and over again, so there'd be no waste. But for what it's worth, the total cost to build all of these is about, I would guess, $10. And this, let me look at my notes. Hold on one second. So from running some really rough calculations, this first set of shelves in front of us holds about 16 square feet of material. In this case, it's holding all the bottles we use to make ginger beer and hard cider and things along that line. The next set of shelves has one more shelf that holds 20 square feet, and it's all got dried herbs. And room on the ground, which I'm not even adding into this, where Sasha stores her ground flours to make all sorts of breads and sourdough things, pastas, pancakes, and all that. Top shelf is used to store bags for storing nuts. There's a little bit of space here for a homemade apple press, which can be out of the way. And then the next set of shelves holds 30 square feet. And now these are made with enough sturdiness and strength that they're holding stained glass for projects that Sasha might want to work on, as well as camping gear. And the beauty part is there's actual empty space on the shelves, which means we can keep things organized in the future. And then the last one holds 40 square feet, and that's mainly holding bulk items. It's not as strong because it's a big span. And in that case, I just use the whole pallet. That's holding all sorts of wool and fabrics for Sasha's projects. So over 100 square feet of storage for under $10 means, I think, tell me if I'm doing this right, 9 cents a square foot for products. Most people collect the pallets and burn them. And in our case, we have a truly reusable set of shelving that's very, very sturdy, locked into the frame of the house, and should last, quite a long time. And we can take it all apart and turn it into charcoal if we hated it. So pallet shelving, real strong encouragement is if you're, especially in a place that you're not looking at all the time, down in a basement, out in a workshop, in a garage, to be able to build with these for a handful of dollars, less than the cost of a lunch, instead of buying new material manufactured, not only manufactured in China and elsewhere with all the chemicals, but then shipped, and all the labor concerns and lots of capitalism questions. So we don't need to go into that. Pallet shelving for the win is the gist of this video. Thanks for watching.